Check our stream. Got to go on here live and check it out one day because it just doesn't quite work the way I want it to. Let's make sure it goes live. We're good. I got 15, 14. It says it's streaming, but I don't see it. All right, everybody, if you can see me, that's great. If you can't see me, go ahead and give me a text or something on the Facebook thing so I know we've got it. So I can't see us live yet. It's just got the blue spinning wheel of death.
That's a bad thing.
I don't know why. I mean, it should be working. It says it's working. I just can't see it on my computer working. Let me pull up another Facebook thing and see if it's working there. Going live soon. Well, how about going live now? Waiting for live video. Okay, well, let me stop and start again. Hey, man, let's see if anybody sent us a comment. Nope, no comments yet, so I can't tell if I'm working yet.
Let me check it. Maybe it's,
yeah, see if you can get on Facebook and see us, because it probably is there, but I just don't see it. Because I'm trying to stream it and see it at the same time. Maybe, I don't know. Waiting for live video. Yes, I know you're waiting for the live video. I thought I was sending you the live video.
Okay. Fleet.
Stream 1. Encode. So hardware encoder not available or in use. Untick use hardware encoder and try again. All right. Oh, well there we go. Now we're working.
Got it?
Yep, we got it now.
Okay.
Now that I've boarded everybody because they were waiting for us, but I think we're ready to go. So here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. My name is Chris Moore, also known as the Tipsy Toaster, and we are on the air for Interfleet Broadcasting. Tonight, I've got my co-producer with me. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. I'm New York Pete, and I co-produce and co-anchor with my good buddy Chris, the Tipsy Toaster. And we're going to continue on our journey through the book versus the video or the movie in this case. So I think that's where we're headed, right, Chris?
Yep, we'll head there real quick. Thanks for joining the broadcast. If you haven't been to the broadcast before, we are a news and commentary for science fiction, mostly 70s, 80s, a little bit of 90s science fiction. We really enjoy those shows. We figured, hey, we talk a lot to each other about it. Why not get together and broadcast it and see who's all interested in it? So we have a couple of ideas for shows and things coming up. We've got a bunch of different interviews coming up. We have a super fan that's going to be joining us shortly. We have a really cool. Pete, you want to do a teaser for the other person? Don't give it away, but.
Well, we actually have a couple of interesting individuals that are lined up for us, and we have something coming in from overseas, and it's a doozy.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much more we should give up, Chris, but this is someone that is heavily involved with Battlestar Galactica, is a fan on our level, and has done some stuff that many of the fans are familiar once they get a glimpse, they're surely going to remember seeing some of this. And we're really looking forward to having him on the show. As well as some authors. We have some other heavy duty. You mentioned super fans. There's going to be another recognizable name that's a blast from the past. The guy's been out there. I know I've been reading his material for a long time, so I'm looking forward to him as well. Plus some other authors. We're going to have some professional authors and some others that we have in store. So looking forward to that. Hope all the fans tune in for that, Chris.
Yeah, these are exciting times. I mean, we just started this out not too long ago, and man, has it taken off, and we're really enjoying it. I hope you are too. Once again, if you are enjoying it, don't forget, we're on YouTube. Go ahead and get that subscribe button at the bottom whenever you get a chance. That way we can start moving some of our other stuff over to YouTube and everything. But once again, well, happy October. We've made it through another week of 2020. The year from... H-E double hockey sticks. I guess I can say hell. I guess hell's okay word. I don't know what would the Galactica word for hell be. I don't even know.
That's a good one. We have to look that up.
I'll have to look that one up. It would be a Greek word more than likely. What's the Greek word for hell?
Hades.
Hades. So it's been the year from Hades.
That's for sure.
But with that, we've made it through another week, Pete.
It's time for the toast.
Time for the toast. Thank you for everybody joining us, and thank God we've made it through another week.
And here's to the fans.
To the fans.
All right.
So, a couple of things have been going on. Happy October. Don't forget about the Hogan fundraising. I don't have it up for right now, but if you can go to the what's that site? The site where you raise money. GoFundMe. GoFundMe site. Look up Hogan, Battlestar Galactica. You'll see it there. It's been doing really well. It's in the $300,000 now. So if you get a chance, go there and help him out. And don't forget the hashtag Fleet is Family on Twitter. So you'll see that one up there too. So they're trying to help out anybody who is in need. That's part of our Battlestar family. So with that said, I guess we'll run on to the news. We do have our news anchor standing by, so I'm going to go ahead and pull him up, and we'll go ahead and go to the news. Oh, by the way, we've got some cool new intros. I hope you enjoy them.
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
These are cool.
Let's go.
Hello everyone, this is John 1 reporting on the latest sci-fi news for Interfleet Broadcasting. First up, Friday, Hulu premiered Hellstrom. This series is good. I watched a few episodes. I like it. This also proves that every family has its demons. A new sci-fi drama is coming to Netflix called Another Life. It stars Katie Sackhoff from Battlestar Galactica and The Flash and Longmire. Katie Sackhoff will play an astronaut on a mission to explore alien intelligence, where her and her crew face many dangers. It may be a one-way ticket for her and her crew. We'll have to see. There is no release date yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. The Expanse's 5th season was announced at New York's Comic-Con this month. December 16th, it will be set to hit the airwaves. For Doctor Who fans, only one episode is coming this year, due to shooting or COVID. I don't know. But it's going to be the Christmas special, called Revolution of the Daleks. One of my favorite characters in Doctor Who. To premiere sometime this December. Wait to see. For Star Trek fans, Discovery Season 3 kicked off. It will be the biggest Star Trek reboot since J.J. Abrams. As you know, Season 2, they left off pretty interesting. And now this series will find themselves and the characters in the 32nd century. Wow. The crew finds themselves in 3188, and this future is very different. There's no Starfleet. So we'll have to see what's going to happen. Also, Season 4 has already been confirmed. So this series is really up and running. HBO Max has premiered Raised by Wolves. The first 2 episodes were made by its producer, Ridley Scott. I'm still on the fence about this series. Let me know how you feel. Tune in next week for the latest scoop. Same orbit, subspace channel, transmission out.
Thank you, John. Some of the stuff on there is really exciting. I like Ridley Scott stuff. I haven't been able to. I don't have HBO Max, so that's one of those decisions I'm going to have to make. I really was curious how Ridley Scott, he did Aliens and everything, so I'm curious. You got your phone up there, Pete.
Yeah,
What's
I got
up?
my phone because I just got a message from John One telling us that Katie Sackhoff is coming back for, I believe it's the 2nd season.
Yes.
So I think that's what he was getting out to me just now.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't like that show. I really liked it.
I did. I watched it. It was pretty good.
I really liked it. I
enjoyed
mean,
it.
I'm a Katie Sackhoff fan, but it was, everybody's like, oh, a lot of people poo-pooed on it, said it was bad writing and everything else. And I said, maybe I'm really into bad stuff. I don't know. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. I actually binged it, so.
Yeah, I did too. I thank God for Netflix and binging. You sit down and 8 hours later you get up. With potty breaks in between. Yeah, with bathroom breaks in between, of course. But so a lot exciting. I'm not much of a Who fan, Doctor Who fan. I'm gonna have to rely on you for that one. I think you're a bigger Whovian than I am. I think I've probably I can count on one hand how many Who episode or Doctor Who episodes I've seen.
Well, this past season has been slightly disappointing. The writing, I think they're going through some transitions, and let's see if they can work through their issues. And the Christmas special, that'll be a big to-do to push, hopefully, the series back on track, because it hasn't been what we've expected. So we'll see. I think there's a lot of room for it to get better.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because it's always been really well written, so we'll see where that goes.
It could be the COVID thing too, because what's going
You know what?
on.
We could blame the COVID. We could, but I hate to tell you, it's not what that is. So we'll see. We'll see though.
No, I wouldn't know, so I'm not. And the Discovery, I watched the first episode of Discovery, and I'm not gonna lie, I feel kind of stupid sometimes, but the last season kind of lost me. I might have to go back and rewatch that season. I mean, it was entertaining. Maybe I was on my phone too much during the show or something. I don't know. I kind of got lost of how time travel and all that other stuff was going on, and now they're. But I did watch the first episode of this one, and it didn't lose me as much as the last season did. Maybe I was paying attention more this time. It was pretty good. It wasn't too bad. I enjoyed it, and I can't believe they've already picked up for another season, and they haven't even they just started this season. I mean, how do you do that? How do you say, hey, we're going to pick you up for another season when you haven't seen how well the season that you're on does? I mean, maybe this season will bomb for all they know, and they've already been picked up for another season. So that's
I gotta
wild.
tell you what we did in my house was we went back and watched we watched the new episode, and we were driven to actually watch last episode from the last season.
Okay, that might
And
maybe I'll try that.
It all worked, man. It's good. It's good. That whole thing with the commissioned officer and the guy waiting, right? I thought it was great.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
we're looking at the I guess the next chapter in the book, Chris. Is
Right.
that what,
You want
that's what
to
we're
do a
heading, right?
recap of the other chapters there?
Well, we've yeah, as you know, as a matter of fact, that's a pretty good idea. So what we've been doing is we've been taking a deep dive into the actual book itself, Battlestar Galactica, and you know, up until now, we've covered the uniqueness that this book and how it presents the actual story. So the opening for each chapter is the Adama Journal, and we're getting insights into who Commander Adama is, his background, you know, history. There's a lot that goes on, emotions, thoughts, stories that you know seem to be in some way relevant to where we're going, big picture. So
Right.
that's how the chapters start. So we're working on chapter 3 now, but the previous two, right? Adama chapter story, and then we go into another Adama, and then we get back into the story itself. So we are, in terms of the narrative, the war started, right? Possibly the final blow to the 12 colonies, and the um, the Cylons are pulling off this attack, right? This hidden attack that is now going to bring the colonies to their knees. They're going to be crippled, and if not taken out once and for all, except for Commander Adama's insights and wisdom, and he kind of sees through what's going on, and that's kind of like where we're up to, right? So there was this peace negotiation. We come into the story at the tail end of what the 12 colonies in the world of Battlestar Galactica believe it's the end of the Thousand-Year War, and we see how they're governed. And there's a quorum of 12, and there's Commander Adama all up in the middle of all this, and it's really a trap. And I kind of think that more or less is kind of like where we're at in terms of the beginnings of chapter 3.
Yep. I'm with you. And if you haven't been with us for the other chapters, our very first episode, if you ever get a chance to watch our episode number 1, broadcast number 1, we talked about the different book variants and the differences in those. How big the size of the ship is, difference in those. We talked, like Pete was just saying, the Adama journals, which really gives us really good insights. Chapter 1, we got a really good, that was when everything was happening. Chapter 2, we got a really good look at the Cylons, which we don't ever get in the show. So it was really neat to have that. So I guess we are now set for chapter 3. So why don't we go ahead, and I got that new, before I don't have to make sound effects anymore now. This is kind of disappointing. Before we had to do all the cool sound effects and everything else, but now I've put them all in there, and now we actually have a really good intro. So enjoy the new intro, and we'll be back right seconds away before we start chapter 3.
Book versus episode.
Short,
You even
but
put in the Cylon.
sweet. I even got
The
Cylon.
Cylon Raider came in out of nowhere. I thought it was like you were gonna put in.
Oh, I can put Vipers in. I'm gonna have some fun with that. I can replace just about anything. I could put Kit in there if I wanted to.
Man, you said it was going to be a Viper, and they put in a Cylon Raider.
You're right, because Cylons rule and Colonials drool.
All right, enough.
So we'll get started out, and first thing in the book was, whoops, that's too far forward. Let's try that one. All right, so first thing in the book was the Adama Journals, and I'll tell you, this week's Adama Journal was a challenge. I had to read it like 2 or 3 times. What about you, Pete? Did you?
Well,
it was a fable.
It's kind of strange. It's about an old legend of sorts, and it actually talks about a moon miner, and he actually ends up on Earth's moon, and there's an adversary that in the end becomes a friend through a challenge. And that's kind of like what I got out of it. It was kind of strange. So Adama's telling us about this weird old legend, and you know how he had heard it, and it has sometimes it has a different twist to it. But he's like, you know what I thought of, Chris, was you know, like an older uncle, or you know, like a grandfather telling you one of those fireside stories and saying, "Oh, look, this is
Oh yeah,
something that's been
yeah.
happening."
I can see
kind of
that.
thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of weird.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Yeah, so the notes I took down on it were, so, you know, they're at a party, and these moon miners are, well, being from the military, they're the party animals. They're very type A personality. You can't call them a coward. You can't call them anything other than, you know, they're the rough, the tough people, and they're at some celebration for a certain holiday. It doesn't really mention it. And this and the character in the story, his name's Gavin, who's probably he's supposed to be the most brave individual. And this person shows up at this thing, and he calls them all cowards. It doesn't really say why. It doesn't really get into that. But they said, give me point out the biggest guy here, or the best guy here, and you get to take the first shot at me. You know, you get to hit me. Or shoot me, or do whatever you want to me right away, which really was kind of weird. If you got your choice of your weapon, you could actually shoot him, but of course he didn't shoot him. That would have been probably a pretty quick fable at that point.
Yeah.
But so he hits the guy, and the guy goes almost all the way into orbit, and of course comes back. Once again, these are tall tales, just like Pecos Bill and Babe the Blue Ox, those kind of things in our thing. So
Paul Bunyan.
Paul Bunyan, those things. So he comes back down, and he says, okay, he says, you need to find me in a year when this thing comes back. So the thing comes back in a year, and he has to search him out, and has to search to find him, and it goes into a little bit more information. And I'm reading this, I'm like, whoa, I'm not getting the connection here. Where is this thing at? And then, of course, at this point in the show, it's kind of, I think they messed up in the book a little bit, because they haven't, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think last episode we talked, they haven't left the people of the fleet yet. They haven't ran for home. So the coward piece of that is kind of what I'm getting in on the Adama Journal, that he says, hey, I'm coward. But anyways, at the end, they become friends, and that kind of thing, like you were saying a little bit earlier. But it was just, I didn't get it. I mean, I really read that thing like 3 times, and I was trying to get a connection, and the only connection I could get on it was the cowardice piece of it. How the military, hey, I'm strong, I'm brave, or whatever else, and then spent the year trying to find him, and then they become friends. I don't see the Cylons becoming friends or anything like that. So, did you get anything other than that, Pete, out of it? It was really strange for me.
What I was thinking about was the a bridge or a segue from them leaving the Viper pilots and how they're perceiving what Adama has done, right? So the Battlestar Galactica has left, and nobody knows really where they went. We know that it's obvious they can't broadcast where they're going because the Cylons are attacking, so they can't tell their pilots, "Hey, listen, we're just going to go to the colonies. We're going to Caprica to see what's going on." They can't broadcast that, so it's got to be radio silence. So they leave the pilots. They're fighting by themselves without any real big support. Every ship that's there is under attack, and so they're thinking that maybe Adama, Commander Adama, is hightailing it out to save his skin,
Yes.
and so he's just abandoning everybody.
Yeah, but the thing is this is the Adama journals. It's, to me, that would be in the last episode of the Adama journals, since this is pre that happens during this chapter.
Right, but isn't this the opening to the chapter?
True. Maybe I guess maybe that's yeah, you could look at it that way. I definitely could look at it
Right,
that
so
way.
yeah, so it's Adama telling you, listen, guys, right? Yeah, we left, and we left everybody in the lurch. But let me tell you a story, right? And it's not about being a coward. It's about confronting what's in front of you and what's going on, and you have to search it out. You cannot just take it head on, right? Because in the Gavin story, the minor story, right? The only way he can make sure he is not labeled a coward is he can't wait for that, fantastical creature being guy to come look for him. Gavin has to go and confront this guy.
And I guess you could look at it. It just clicked. I don't know why. This is kind of weird that it just clicked. But the place where he reconfronts the stranger is Earth, kind
Yes.
of. It's Earth's moon. So
yeah, it's our
maybe
moon,
he's
yeah.
foreshadowing, hey, we're going to fight back when we get to Earth.
Right.
I'm kind of seeing that now. That's sad. It took me this long. I guess it's because I'm getting old. And I needed people like you to talk me through it there, Pete.
The first time you read it, you're looking for something else. You're not focusing on it. I remember, reading it. I just thought of, the cowardice concept, and that's just what stood out. It's like, oh my God, all the pilots are thinking that Adama is abandoning them, or many of them are. Some of them are, some of them are not. But they're judging Adama. And Adama's saying, "Hey, listen, this is what this is really about. It's not a cowardice move." So, kind of like that's
Right.
that's what I always got out of it.
Yeah, so we break out of that and we head over to chapter 3, which I've titled, Who is Ela? But there's other things in this chapter that's very important also. So we go into chapter 3, and it starts out with so chapter 3. I did this for the first time. I compared the chapter and the time it takes in the movie. Chapter 3 was 20 pages of writing, and it takes place between 31 and 40. It's only 9 minutes within the movie. So you got 20 pages in 9 minutes. So of course they've cut a lot of it out, and you get a lot more out of it. And that's not, I don't think that's including the Adama Journal piece of it too, because I didn't include the Adama Journals because they didn't put the Adama Journals into the movie piece right there. So, so we start out in that chapter, which it definitely is a different look, and we get to know a couple other things later on. But so the pilots are fracking pissed.
Oh, they are. Well, so the chapter 3 has actual. It's made up of 4 sections. There's 4 little segments that are going on in chapter 3, and the first one that you're talking about is Galactica withdraws from the battle. That's how I titled this section.
Hmm.
And there's some other interesting tidbits that I kind of gleaned off. So there is a lot of interaction. You mentioned the fighter pilots. There's Starbuck, there's Boomer, there's Green Bean,
Yep.
and Charlie.
Yes.
So we got 4 of the secondary, one of the major characters, Starbuck, and there's your supporting character Boomer, and then 2 of the lesser characters, Green Bean and Jolly, introduced, almost up front. So yes, like you just said, Galactica leaves the pilots in battle, um, and there's a bit of that, right? You said there's about 20 pages of that, so this is all up front, and they're interacting amongst themselves as they're fighting off Cylons.
Yes. Yes. And I think I think the I like this piece in here because it gives a little bit different view of Starbuck being the, it would just normally have been Starbuck from the movie. He would have just gone on the bridge and punched him out. I think.
Right. Right.
But in the book, you get a Starbuck that is actually supportive. They're so part of the book. The very first chapter of chapter 3 starts out with they're flying, and then look at that, they're leaving us, and and Starbuck pipes up and he says, you keep it down. They have to have a good reason for that, which is neat that Starbuck actually supports Adama in this point. He supports he's the consummate military person that says, what, there has to be a good reason. They wouldn't do this to us. They're not cowards. And then inside the cockpit, he's also not sure. So his anger is building up a little bit, and so is Boomer. And Boomer turns out to be a little bit more of a, Boomer's a really strong character in the show, and I don't put anything bad against Herb Jefferson at all. I think he played a very good part. But in the book, Boomer is a little bit more roguish, I think would be a better word, in this chapter, I think. So, he's looking at this, and then and of course, then comes the part where they're leaving, and now, they're still fighting, and there's only one Battlestar left, and
yeah, that's another one of those real interesting critical aspects of the lore of Battlestar Galactica, because they mention um, the Solaria, and it's the last of the Battlestars. So everything else that was there in terms of the Battlestar specific, they've all been destroyed, and Starbucks interacting with the other pilots, and the Solaria blows up. And as far as they know, that's it. It's they don't know exactly what's going on at that moment with the Galactica, but in their world, the Battlestars are all gone now.
yeah. So, what's the Solaria? That's not in the show. That's not in the show.
Yep.
Well, who's the Solaria? Of course, and you don't even, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe there's a number of Battlestars. There's a really good list. There's a really good article on this, by the way, and we'll talk about that in another episode about the different Battlestars. But the Solaria, the solar thing, that's the last Battlestar left. That's never mentioned in the show at all. Not even in the background audio where everybody picks up the other names of the other Battlestars, the Acropolis and what were the other ones?
Atlantia.
Atlantia, Acropolis, and then was it Pacifica, or was in the book? I can't remember. But
Right. So but that's so what was mentioned in the movie slash the show, right?
right,
There's people have actually fans have actually gone and pulled out all the names of all the battle stars, and they don't seem to connect to the book and some
no,
of the
yeah,
interviews. If I'm not mistaken, there's interviews that also there's interviews with I think it's Thurston, and they interviewed, I believe it was Larson in the
yes,
beginning, and the list of battle stars is not quite the same, and now it's a matter of what's canon and what's not. So I think it's easy for everybody to agree that just simply put, that canon has to be what was shown on television, and if that's how we're going to go with it, then we know XYZ battle stars. If we
right,
go to the book, then now the book is opening up a whole other can of worms. Like you said, who and what is the Solari?
right, and then yeah, the Solaria is only mentioned in the book. Um, it's not mentioned in the background, the audio, and the only places you're going to find it is in the book and in the Battlestar Galactica scrap book. You've seen that one
Which
yet or
is
not?
official,
Yes.
and it was written with in conjunction with the powers that be. So that includes the studios and Glenn Larson himself.
Right. So, but if one of the funny things, I did find an article about Glenn Larson talking about the number of battle stars, and it was almost like he's talking about it. He's like, it was a question from a fan, and it was at a Comic-Con, and he said, they asked him, so what about the 12 battle stars? And he says, we never said there was 12. And then the fan, of course, face it, fans are amazing people. We're galactic nuts, myself, and I'm telling you, we research this stuff. We probably know more about the number of battle stars than Mr. Larson did, because his answer was, we'll have to look into that. He said we never said there was 12, and the guy, I don't know if it was a girl or a guy, I'm sorry, actually in the response inside the back and forth with him said, oh, there was this, and this, and he says, well, I'm not sure, we'll have to look into that. Which shows fans are awesome.
Oh, absolutely. I have the pleasure of getting to know Herb Jefferson a little bit, and the last time I got to sit down and talk to him at length, I've met him at a few conventions now over the years. But WinterCon last year, it was a really good convention here in New York, and I got to sit and talk to him for a while. And one of the things he did mention, Chris, was pretty much like what you just said. He goes, "There's certain things that the fans will know better than I do," he says to me. "You guys watch the show, you study the show, and you know a lot of the details and the story and the lore that goes with it that is way beyond my knowledge." He says, "So sometimes I will defer to the fans' knowledge."
Yeah, that's and that's the way it goes. We've studied this stuff. Face it, some actors, unlike Herb Jefferson is one of the few examples, or few, well, not examples, differences. I can't think of the word right now. Anyways, that some actors are just actors. They're there for the paycheck. You talk to some actors, and then there's some actors that are fans. For instance, Garrett Wang for Battlestar, for Star Trek, Deep Space Nine. He played the ensign there, and he is a fan. He runs the fans at like Dragon Con. He runs that show. He gets all the people together for that. So there's actors that are fans, and then there's actors that are actors. There's nothing wrong with an actor being an actor. That's their job.
Oh,
and you know,
absolutely.
and the great thing is some of the actors that are fans really give you a really good insight. And Herb Jefferson's one of them. I mean, he can tell you some stuff that's wild. Don't go off on a tangent, but I just met him at what was supposed to be the Battlestar Galactica, or the Dallas, Texas Comic Con, and he was there. He stood by, and even though they canceled it, he opened up a table downstairs for the fans so everybody could talk to him. And I talked to him at length for a really long time. And if you ever get a chance to get out to one of those things and talk to him, he's an amazing individual to talk to. But he talked about how, how do you know that a jacket was our actual jacket? But I digress. We'll get back to the book now. I apologize.
But I'm going to
Go
add
ahead.
one other thing, Chris. One
Sure.
of the guys that lingered with me, he's not Battlestar Galactica related, but John Wesley Shipp, the Flash.
Oh, yes.
I had the pleasure of meeting him at a convention in Pennsylvania, and that guy, you're talking about a fan and someone that takes his show, being the star of the original Flash, seriously. I mean, he knew the episodes. He knew when they were broadcast. He was involved with the writers. He's a presence, like you were mentioning other actors from other shows who are also fans. So when you hear from them or you interact with them, they bring you into the world that you want to be in, and he was definitely one of them. So I have I had the greatest pleasure of meeting him and listening to him and walk us through his show and asking him questions and stuff. So yeah, some of the Galactica actors and some of the people involved in Galactica are very much like that. And so, we have through the years obviously met some of them. But like you said, Chris, we digress, but that's okay. That's what the show's all about. It's all about sci-fi and bringing a perspective that we have because we grew up with this stuff. So going back to chapter 3, one of the things that we want to bring out, Chris, was so if the Galactica left and the Viper pilots are fighting on their own, there's two questions that come up. So is there an issue with the uh, the Vipers on their own, and are they just Vipers from the Galactica? And what happens to them, and what happens to the Galactica itself?
Right. So yeah. So back to the book. Yeah, they're angry. They're leaving, and there's a bridge information back and forth too. So there's some information back and forth on the bridge where hey, we can't just leave them, and you get to see that his children are once again, just like in the previous chapter, kind of attacking Adama. I mean, do they feel privileged because they're his children and they're on they have certain levels of leadership, but there's definitely a problem with that. So he kind of seems like he gets a little angry there too. So the Solera gets destroyed and they've taken off, and now they have to get back to the Galactica, and they're like, well, on the bridge, they're like, well, what are the, how are the Vipers going to get back to us? And they're going to, and the bridge, Adama says they'll have to find refueling stations. And you're like, wait a minute. Refueling stations? What are those? We haven't heard of refueling stations before. So
it's interesting because in the book, at least I was reading it from the hardcover, it talks about camouflaged force fields hiding the refueling stations, and that's how the pilots make it back to the Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, and that camouflage thing comes out more in chapter 4, but camouflaged refueling stations answers a really big question.
Force fields.
Yes, that answers a really big question because it was like, in the movie they're like, And it's funny. I rewatched it a number of times just during this thing, and I rewatched it, and it goes from the well, I think I have it. Let me cue it up. I think I might have it. Let me check see if I have it real quick. It's just a really weird. Yeah, I think I do. Here we go.
Helm, bring us around. We're withdrawing. Flank speed for home.
Commander, the long-range scanner picks up wave after wave of small ships headed towards all inner planets.
Hey, Boomer. I see it. Yeah, where's she going? Don't ask me. The commander's calling the shots. Hey, you guys, what's going on? Galactica's pulling out. Well, there's got to be a good reason.
Electronic jamming has stopped.
So here we go. You got to have a good reason, and it's funny that Boomer says that in the movie. In the book, it's more a Starbuck supporting the individuals at the bridge, the command structure. You see that, but from that book it goes. In the movie, it goes from that scene to they're above Caprica, or they're on their way to Caprica, and then all of a sudden the ships are landing on the bay, and of course Starbuck has a problem. Which brings a couple of things on that one in a second, but so the last Battlestar's been destroyed. Vipers are to the wind. They need it says it says Starbuck says he's out of ammo, technically, the easy way of saying it. And then they're getting ready to go out of fuel, so they need to find a fueling station. And that kind of piece is left out of the book a little bit, but they evidently find a refueling station, and they get back to the Galactica. And they start to land, and of course, you get the back and forth with Athena and Starbuck.
Right. So now at this point, this is where we get into the next section of the chapter. And like you set it up, this is where the Starbucks actually his Viper's hot. So there's issues with the Viper. It's probably been hit by Cylon weaponry, or it's taken fire, and he's basically gonna crash land the Viper onto the Galactica, and he kind of like he does it, and Athena's gonna meet him, and we in the books Starbuck's pissed, and so he comes to, and he gets out of the Viper, he's pissed, and he's like, what happened, and why did they leave us? And Athena's was there, and she informs him that all of them, in reference to the colonies, they've all been wiped out, and it gives, it kind of like shocks Starbuck, because they don't obviously know anything of what's going on outside of the theater of operation, which was fighting off the Cylons and seeing the destruction of the Battlestars. So that that's I guess what's hitting them now is the colonies are all wiped out, all of them, right? That's a quote from Athena, and wow, that's kind of crazy. We also find out, right? So that's when they mention the wiping out of the colonies, and we also find out that certain fighters have made it back. So they don't refer to them, Chris, as Vipers. They actually refer to them as fighters. And we get to find out, because Ty calls up for I guess a sit rep, situation report, and we find out that 75 fighters have made it back, and 25 of those belong to the Galactica. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then we're on the bridge. So from there, this is now kind of taking place. It went from the landing bay, and now it's on the bridge. And so Ty comes into this, and so we kind of see Ty a little bit in action, and Starbucks thinking about stuff, and like the pilots that are there are they don't get it because they missed it. So Ty actually has all the pre-recorded news blurbs and whatever else they could have gotten is been recorded, and he pulls it up on a screen so Starbuck gets to see this, and it's obviously like a shock that the colonies were actually being destroyed, and there's not much left.
Yeah, it's in the book. It's kind of neat that it's like he stormed up to the bridge after almost getting killed landing his broken down Viper, which I want to roll back to that here in a second. But he storms up to the bridge and hey, almost accusing him cowards. Now it's important to remember that Adama's not there. Adama's already left at the end of the chapter for the surface. At the end of last chapter, he's already left for the surface, and Apollo's taking him. So he storms up there, and it's Ty, and he's looking around where the hell is Adama, and says, what, you guys left us, and then Athena's like, I tried to tell him, and he doesn't get it, he doesn't believe me, and they show him the videos of the destruction of the worlds, and he's this meekness and realization for Starbuck that's like, you hear it, I hear it in the book. It doesn't sound right, but I hear it in the book. He's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He just, he's witnessing it. He doesn't know. And now he's like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean, so it's, yeah. And then, like you said, the returning fighters, I mean, I want to roll back, it's funny. One of the scenes I always loved, I don't know why, in the show was that the part where Starbuck is storming up to the bridge and he's walking there, and you see Athena, and she's got this duck walk. When she's running after him, and it's those darn motocross boots. I've seen these boots before. They don't collapse. They're like straight because they're built to make to sit on the ground. So she does this duck walk while she's trying to chase him, and I always looked at that and found it was kind of funny. But she's already tried to explain it to him, and he's go up there, and now it's but they said was it 67 fighters? I think it is. I can't remember. You maybe got the book out. I think it's 67 fighters, 24 of their own, which brings up all of the other different squadrons from all of the other different battle stars are coming in. So we don't get to see that much in the show. I'm curious, what are the patches? What are the, of course, we know the Pegasus and the Silver Spar, but what are the other ones? Is it purple and orange squadrons from the show? But you don't get to see that. So I find it funny. So you're only looking at 67 fighters is all they've got left.
Actually, according to the book, it's 75.
75?
75 total. And again, they don't call them Vipers. In the book, they're called just fighters. And 25 from the Galactica. So those are the numbers that are in the actual. Yeah. On this one, I didn't write the page down, but I think it's try like 50, either page 57 or 58. I believe it's something like 57.
Curious if it's a different number.
Oh, that's right. You have the other edition. Is that what you're looking through? Okay. So let's see. I can tell you. Here we go.
Sorry, everybody. I hate to be.
Yeah, hold on.
To be that guy.
I was actually going through this. So, wow. I think it's. Oh, so yeah. Go to page 57, and it says 67. So
Okay.
did you say 67? You
Yep.
said 67. All right, so you were right and I was wrong, but it is 25. So it's 67. So I stand corrected. It's 67 fighters, but 25 from the Galactica.
What
25
page is that on?
of our own. And then he says, how many battle stars? The officer paused before revealing the information. None. We're the only surviving battle star. So that's on the hardcover. I just happened because it's a little bit bigger. So I was that's what I was using that.
It's on page 63 in the stuff. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. 67 fighters and all, sir. 25 of our own.
Well, you know what? Maybe because this is bigger, the format is actually.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Bigger. So.
Yeah. But that's still sorry to digress, everybody. But yeah, I have to think. What are all the different?
That's a good point.
What are the different patches and the different? You could definitely build another fanzine just on the different types of ones that were there. So now we switch over. Go ahead.
There in the show later in the show there is I think only one other patch that we get to see from one other Battlestar. I don't think two. The Atlantia comes up
in the show.
And there's in the show. So we do
later on in the series. The
right.
Which one is the one where Red Eye?
Yes, that's the one where we get to see another Battlestar's patch.
And we don't know which Battlestar that one is.
We don't. And we there's Pegasus, there's Galactica, but there's also Atlantia.
Atlantia. The patch from Atlantia. You actually get to see that in the series.
Right. So that's four.
Probably need to do a whole new thing on the different patches from the different things. You have a patch from the Atlantia, don't you?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You have it laying around so you can show everybody.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think I have one.
And you actually get to see this patch in the very beginning. We kind of skipped over that chapter, but we've already done that chapter. But when the
why don't we?
Adar is getting exploding. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'll keep going. Let me move on to the Adama on the surface piece of it, and you can look for that patch real quick.
All right. Cool.
So we get the patch. Also the other thing I always wondered about is it's no time for a trainee. So I never understood that piece. We can discuss that one later on. So next to switch over to Adama on the surface. So Adama's finally made it to the surface of Caprica. He goes to his own house. It's destroyed. He talks about, I'm sure that she was home. He's back and forth a little bit with Apollo. And, I'm sure she was home. This is the normal time she was in her sitting room. And, of course, the sitting room is destroyed. And he opens up the lock box. In the book, it's not a lock box. It's they're pictures embedded into the wall. And he talks a little bit about Ela. And Ela is, really not given that much credit in the show. But in the book, this is a really powerful woman. She has, they met because she is so headstrong, and that's what attracted him to him. But this is a woman at the age of 17, won a seat on the local council. So that think of a councilwoman in your local city, winning, that's 17 years old, and then she fights back and forth, so she becomes a problem to the military a little bit. Not really a big problem, but she's creating some dissent in the colonies, because she's saying, you know what, we need to defund the military. So she's pushing to actually defund the military a little bit, and why are we why are we paying our fair share to the military to keep them up? So they send Adama out to see what's going on with her, and he's like, wow, I really like this woman a lot, and they fall in love, and of course, but he's really good. He really loves a stronger woman, and that definitely she is a stronger woman. So I think Peach, you found that patch. I see. I think.
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
So this was the Atlantea patch. So we kind of skipped over that in the episode in the last one, but that's a interesting patch, and you get to see that in the movie if you watch the movie really, really close, and you get probably the DVD version that's or the Blu-ray version that's the red cover Blu-ray version. No, it doesn't go there. It goes on your shoulder. And you get to see that in there. But so here we are. Everything's burning down. Adama's on the surface. He talks about a little bit Hila, and we found so here's a question. Does anybody know the picture? So you get to see the picture of Hila. Let me pull that up real quick. So that's the picture of Hila. Does anybody know who that is? Anyone? Does anybody? It's hard to see, but you can actually, if you look at it really close, you can tell. That picture is actually Sophia Loren.
That's insane, man. That's crazy.
That picture is Sophia Loren. She posed for that photo just for Battlestar Galactica.
Wow. Well, it's interesting because as I went back to reread and take some notes on this section of the chapter, I remembered when I first read this and glossed over some of the details on the rereads. But for our show today, I decided that I was going to look into this a little bit more, and Adama is now at his home on Caprica. They do notice that there's a mob coming, but so Adama's emotions, a little bit of Adama the man is coming through, right? Like he's no longer just thinking about his military obligations and his leadership. He's thinking now as just a regular person, and his wife Hila is involved in all this. Of course, that's at the forefront of everything goes on. There's mention of the fact that Adama had laid the stone path to his home himself, and that, quote, once an attractive series of living units are now half destroyed, including his wife's sitting room, right? So I thought that was,
right.
Wow.
Yeah, that's where, he says, that's where she normally is at this time of the day, or at this time of the day when the attack happened.
Yes.
So that's why he was sure that she was gone.
And so he's rambling. Like he says that he catches himself rambling, and the tears are welling up in his eyes. And, he's walking into his home through the rubble. Half of his, home housing is gone. It's been actually obliterated, and it's like rubble. So he's walking into the home through, the rubble. And I was like, oh man, that's one hell of an image in your mind.
Right.
He's actually worked on putting together the house, some of it himself. So I was like, wow. And again, there's tears welling up in his eyes. He walks into his home through rubble, and he goes to where there's a row of holographic photographs. And there's obviously there's a Zach thing that comes into play here, which I thought was very, very interesting. And there's a couple of other details in this, so it's emotional, right? They mentioned that Adama does a lot of scan reading, and he says that they would read ancient novels, but they scan read them. I was like, wow, that's kind of interesting. And that the pictures themselves are 3D dimensional images.
Yes.
So when you're looking at them, they have like a 3D quality to them. I thought that was kind of fascinating. And at one point, he reaches out to touch it, right? And his hand stops at.
Well, he also says he wished he could turn them around so they weren't facing the rubble.
Yes, very good, very good. Yes. So, when you mentioned already now the fact that when he met her, so he starts to reminisce, and when he met his wife, he was an ensign, and she she was running, like you said, she was running for political office, and she was strong-willed. And I'm not sure if you said this or not, but her goal as a very young woman was to actually get a position on the quorum of 12. That was one of her life goals. And so she ran on the platform to cut back the military budget because, like herself, a lot of people were just tired of the Thousand-Year War. They were just fed up with it, and this was something that they were talking about, a lot of. So this is like way before this peace that was brought about. And Adama was an ensign, and he fell in love with her right away. And he's Adama's reminiscing, and it breaks him down, and it starts to cry. And the other thing that I found that was very important as we end this section, and there's only one other one left before the chapter's over, is that obviously Apollo is there. And Apollo, I don't know if you remember, he rejects a picture of himself with Zach. He regrets it later, but he rejects the offer from his dad, and he tells him, "We gotta go." But he also asks his dad. He throws out, "Maybe she wasn't here," and
Right.
Adama makes it very clear that she was.
Right. I
Now
find it
we're
funny
not told,
yeah, they didn't
right?
they didn't like dig through the rubble to find her body.
No, but the impression I always got was that he saw maybe her remains or something, that because
Yeah.
he's emphatic. He knows that she's gone. She's dead.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it would be you would look for the body to prove that she was gone, but the way the book is written and the way the video and the movie is, it's like, yeah, she's dead.
yeah. So
Gotta leave it at that. We're not
I
going to
took
look
it
for
for
the body.
granted.
We're not going to show you the body. We're not. Maybe
Right.
it was a censorship thing. Maybe I don't know. But yeah, they didn't want to show the body. They just say, "Yep, she's dead."
But it just seemed to me that Adama probably saw something,
Yeah.
and he didn't want Apollo to go through that. So he probably saw, maybe he maybe saw a piece of her or something, that it's definitive, she's
Right.
dead.
Yeah.
And so we're like, oh, okay, wow, okay, yeah, that's messed up. And that the details are emphatic that it's done. And then the next section is not that long. I think it's about a page
Nope.
and a half.
Yeah, it's not even that
And
much.
yeah, and it's Apollo standing next to his ship. The crowd comes, and this is the setup for the rest of the series.
Right. And it happens very similar to the video, to the movie. With I want to hear, where were you, boy? Those pieces were there. They're very angry, and then of course Serena steps up and says, "No, I want to hear the story." And then the story goes back and forth just like it does in the show, and then Adama steps out and says, "Hey, we're not going to fight here. We're gonna fight somewhere else." But it's funny, and I kind of related this to a Sermon on the Mount kind of thing. Of course, once again, this was written, for the individual who wrote this. Mr. Larson was a Mormon and was very big into that. But you look at this kind of the sermon thing, they talk about he walks up the hill, and then turns around and does a sermon pretty much to the people that are there. And so let me jump back real quick. Prior to that, there's an exchange between Serena and Apollo, and I found this kind of interesting because it does flip over to the Ron Moore 2004 version of Battlestar Galactica, where Apollo blames the father for Zach's death, kind of deal in that one. This one's a similar type deal, but the Serena says, fighters, the little, Boxy runs up and says, "Can I fly? Can I fly in your plane, fighter, sir?" And and Adama, Apollo picks him up, and of course he says it's really light, lighter than he looks, and he says, fighters are no places for boys, and Serena says, well, they're going to have to be if we're going to survive, and but when he says fighters are no place for boys, in the book, he says he looks directly at his father and says fighters are no place for boys. Is that foreshadowing? Does he kind of blame him a little bit? It's interesting that they put that into the book there.
Well, it just serves to lay in a little bit of, this other level of seriousness, right? So you can either read that and not get a lot out of it, or is Apollo looking for his dad to comment, or you can analyze it like we are, and now we're thinking and maybe looking through the eyes of older people, right? So like we're no longer 12, we're not 20, 30, right? So we're a little older, and now we see it a little bit different, and now is Apollo looking at him because he kind of hey, you're taking a jab at his dad for letting Zach fly, maybe. I gotta say there's a couple of things that I thought were very interesting. Number one is, this is, like you said, the introduction of Serena and Boxy to both Apollo and Adama. However, she recognizes Adama, right? And he says her name.
Yeah.
So she recognizes him. I figure, well, he's the commander, right? She's in the news. She's a journalist of sorts. So obviously she knows who Commander Adama is. He's this really famous person, right? So what about, the fact that he knows her? So she's got to be just as famous, say as a journalist, for Adama to recognize her, or is it because he saw her broadcast earlier? And then we get Apollo interacting with Boxy, and that's interesting. I don't believe they actually mentioned his name though. Do you recall if his name was
Boxy?
Yeah, I don't think they mentioned.
Well,
his
they mentioned
name.
his name in the last chapter.
Right, but not here. So here,
but
and there's
here,
no there's no formal intro of any kind.
Right.
But this is where it starts, the whole Serena thing. Right?
I think doesn't it say in there he finds her attractive?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And then, like you said, this leads up to Adama tells them to get into any vehicle that they can, and that this is now where they're going to take their stand, right? So this is now setting it up for where we're going to go. So
right.
I thought that was interesting.
He gets that Sermon on the Mount kind of thing. He walks up the hill and says, "All right, we can't fight now, so get in every type of thing you can do, every type of vehicle that you can have, and meet us up there." So I'm sure the information that's not there is like where they meet at, and what's the coordinates of the place and everything. They didn't give any of that, so
right.
And that kind of where it drops off. That's kind of the ending.
Yeah. Oh, it is the ending. Yeah. So that's it for 3. We've already mentioned that there's 10 chapters, and the story just continues to get more involved. And of course, the book, as any book, always has more details than what we get to see. They kind of fill the gaps, so to speak. So that's going to be interesting to see how things continue to develop. And we're gonna, we're going in deep dive all the way. And I think, next episode will be 4, you know,
Yes.
we'll do the same thing. We're gonna do the whole Adama journal and then go right into the chapter itself. So you know, for all the fans out there and everybody else that are into Galactica like we are, you know, make sure that you come on board with us and follow us on Twitter and you know the YouTube, of course. Please subscribe. Facebook, Interfleet Broadcasting IFB. We're out there. And I know that Chris, you put out a lot of stuff on Twitter, and we try to you know keep things flowing as much as we can. And you know, for as far as IFB and you know New York Pete is concerned, I think it's time for me to sign off, and I'm going to pass it to my partner Chris. Chris, it's all yours. Till next week, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in on my part. Have a great time as always. Stay safe and see you when we see you.
Yep. Thanks, Pete. Everybody, thanks for joining us. If you get a chance, make sure you get go to those social media sites and like us, become a member on Facebook or whatever it may be. We'd really like to hear from you. If you have any comments or questions in regards to the shows, please feel free to drop it underneath the video inside of Facebook or inside of YouTube for any comments or questions or any ideas for your next shows that would be. Like with that said, I'll see y'all. What's the week? It's I should be shot as a Battlestar Galactica fan. Mila Senton. Oh crap!
Let it go.
I'll let it go.
You're just a Cylon.
I'll see you next week. We don't have any. Cylons don't have any time. We don't care about time.
This is true. All right.
We'll see y'all next week. Thanks for joining us, and y'all take care. Later.
Later.